Today, I want to talk about shiny object syndrome because this is something that I have struggled with through my whole business journey and something that I feel like at this point I'm finally mastering. So, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys some tips around shiny object syndrome, define what it is, and tell you my best tips on staying focused. So, shiny object syndrome is a tendency to switch focus to something new and exciting before completing the current project. And my motivation in making this video is because I see it all of the time on social media. Um, Especially in Facebook groups and on Facebook. That is where I spend the majority of my time marketing. And it's really, really interesting how I see this. And I see it on Instagram as well, for sure. So what I see is people talking about their opportunity or how they made a lot of money in a short amount of time and then asking other people if they would like to come along. Now, as a business owner, it can be a short journey, it could be a long journey, just depending on where your skills are, what kind of network you have. But in my experience in building a business, it has been kind of a roller coaster at some points, and it's been consistent at other points. But it always does strike you when someone's like, "Oh, I made $100,000 in 3 months." Learn more about what I'm doing, and I used to just see this in posts and it was quite comical, but now I see it in DMs too. And sometimes you're like actually thinking about it, especially when you're bored. So for me, when I was creating my course content, a thing that came up was travel agency. And I was like, oh, I love travel. I could see how this could fit into my business. Like, oh, let me go in that direction. Or earlier on in my business journey, it was like, learn how to invest money in the stock market and whatnot. And I'm like, oh, that could be really useful. But that all takes away and that distracts from what you're actually doing in your business. And I think those are all great things to add. And like, don't get me wrong, this isn't about being multi-passionate or multi-dimensional. But I think it's about following one project through before starting another project. So for me, I knew that, okay, my course is really important. I've got to finish this before I devote time to anything else. So anyway, that being said, shiny object syndrome can actually lead to a lack of confidence and trust within yourself, and that can hinder progress in everything you're doing. So if you're unable to complete this one thing that you're working on or this one idea, and then you move over here and you don't complete that, and you move over here and you don't complete that, like, what are you completing? Where are you getting to? I think what I've seen in the industry is if you focus on one thing, one niche, even one product for a year, you're going to get somewhere with it. One method of marketing. And I see that even in things that you're not buying or learning new things. It's like, oh, I'm going to be over here on Instagram, but I'm also going to do TikTok and I'm going to do YouTube. And it's like, master one thing and then add on the other things. And sometimes it's a dual strategy, sometimes you have multiple things going on, but again, shiny object syndrome, grass is always greener on the other side. But really, you get to where you want by focusing on one thing and really building that out. Example, starting a new book before finishing the current one because it seems more interesting and exciting, but really you're losing confidence with yourself because you're not able to complete something that you started. And I think that sends a message to yourself, not only of like trust, but also you just start to doubt every single piece of what you're doing. So this year, not even this year, like the past 6 months, I've really been focusing on like, what does follow through look like for me? And so just doing that in all areas of my life. Like, what would it look like if I commit to meditating every day? What would it look like if I do 10 minutes of yoga and just know that I can complete that? And all of that has led to me being really confident when taking on clients because I know that what I commit to, I follow through on. So it often occurs when a seemingly quicker or easier solution presents itself, this shiny object syndrome. And I think that it's just something that will always occur, and some people will kind of buy into it. And I was definitely the person where it's like, oh, if this is easier, like, why don't I do that? But what's easier is actually just sticking with one thing and getting really good at it. And once that's running on autopilot, then going on to the next thing. Okay, so recognizing the impact. So it can be really detrimental to business goals. So if you're setting out to do one thing and then all of a sudden you're switching tasks, not switching tasks, but switching your focus. Like if you go all in what you're doing, you're going to learn more about it. You are going to collect more data around it. Where if you're switching tasks, like your brain is focusing in this other direction. And so if you have 10 things you're trying to do, it's really hard to get good at one thing versus one thing and you're putting your all into it. Another example, pursuing a new side hustle instead of focusing on that original business goal. So it kind of breaks my heart to see these in Facebook groups where someone is saying something they did and 100, 200 people are commenting, because I know it's taking away from what they have in their bio, who they are, like what they're trying to get done. They're just flipping over to something else versus seeking the support and guidance on what they're already building, and getting that to fruition before jumping into another whole other niche, whole other area. I think it can delay progress, and distract from the intended results. And I don't know how to, like, obviously you can't change this behavior because that person is just trying to market what they're doing. But I wish that there was more talk in the industry or just education in general on the benefits of following through with something or someone or some course. Like even in business coaching, like I'll give an example. I've been working with the same business coach now for a year and a half, and I'm about to sign a longer contract with her because I know that by sticking with one person who already knows what I'm doing, who already knows my business, who I'm already seeing success with, that's going to compound over time rather than like, ooh, let me like find this new thing or this new person who can help me. Like sticking with one business plan versus like, ooh, let me find this new business plan. Like, of course, if things aren't working, you've got to make some tweaks, and data can tell you that. But by switching it all up each time, you are losing so much momentum. All right, requires intentional decision making and saying no to distractions. So, a lot of successful people, if you study them, one of the biggest things that they're good at is just saying no to everything that doesn't align on that path for them. So, one example I'll give is Dean Graziosi. I took one of his courses, Project Next, and I've also watched his YouTube videos. I've been following him throughout my whole business journey. And he really emphasizes that, okay, like every decision that he is making is for his intended goals in life. And he has his specific goals, but think about your specific goals in life. Like, are you saying yes to something that doesn't align with any of them? And where is that taking you? Okay, so power of focus. Stabilize one area of your life or business before jumping into new ventures. I've said that. And what I've found here is when I get a DM from someone and they're saying like, ooh, like you want to try this out or you want to do this, my response now is I don't ghost them because they're trying to do their job. And I'm not mean or anything like that. I just say like, thanks so much for this opportunity, or thanks so much for offering your services. I will keep you in mind for the future, but right now I'm actually really focused on what I'm doing, or right now I actually have the support I need and I'm focused on following through with that, or I have the course I need and I'm focused on finishing that. And not only is that reaffirming to myself that I'm following through on my commitments, and I'm saying it yet again in the face of what could potentially be shiny object syndrome, which a lot of times when I get those DMs, it's not something I'm curious about, but sometimes it'll spark my interest, right? So I let them know like, hey, it's not falling in line with what's happening, or if it is something that is falling in line with my goals, then I'll look at it. So right now I'm really focused on growing my lead generation business, following through on the courses that I have, and utilizing the mentorship that I have, as well as trying to become this year a digital nomad. So I don't know if I've talked about that on my channel, but being able to travel as well as creating healthy habits and improving my health. So if someone is coming at me and it doesn't fall into those buckets, it just isn't coming through. And even within those, like there are things where it's like, for example, like health and wellness, if someone's like, here is, a vitamin you could take every day. Like for me, health and wellness is very specific in natural methods, in not consuming things, but optimizing my habits and optimizing my health and my routines and what I already have going on. So I know that even though that might fall in the bucket of health and wellness, it's not the health and wellness that I am focused on. Or um, for travel, like I specifically want to be in communities with other digital nomads. So if someone's like, hey, like here's a travel opportunity and there's lots of nightlife, like again, that's just not my thing. So being able to say no to someone respectfully, as well as just making sure like, hey, does this align with one of the things I'm going for this year? Okay, so like I said, being multi-passionate is not inherently bad, but spreading yourself too thin can, I think, limit success. So when you're trying to do all the things at once, it's just so hard to concentrate or really make progress in one area. So give yourself some space and time. Like, what do you think would happen if you took 3 to 6 months and really just focused in on one thing? I feel like you'd probably make so much progress in it. And I forget what they say. There's like a certain number of hours that it takes to like be an expert in something, and I'll have to look it up after this video, but they say like, okay, let's just say it's 10,000, which I don't think that's the number, but if it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert in something, every hour you're not devoting to that thing, you're just giving it away. Where if you put that hour towards that thing, it's accumulating to that 10,000 hours. All right, so consider the potential impact of giving all your energy, like I said, to one thing and making it work. And I think that that's such a good way to look at it is, if you want to devote 100 hours to being the best person at email marketing, then find those 100 hours and go there and get that. And each hour you're spending doing something else, you're not spending doing that. So commitment and devotion to work can lead to greater and greater results. I think that the more you're committed to doing one thing, the more you're committed to your goals and you follow through and you are so clear on what you want, the more success you're going to have. So let me know if this was helpful for you. It's definitely something I have been intentionally working through, intentionally staying focused. And I learned that through getting distracted. So I think that if you've been in the space where you have got distracted, totally fine. I think that's normal for people. I think we all want quick success, quick wins. But when you look at your life overall, think about the biggest accomplishments you have received. And it really has not necessarily been a snap of the fingers necessarily. It's been something you've worked at over time. And I think that's what we're missing in the context of some of these posts, or people are saying like, hey, it only took me 6 months to do this, but what were you doing for the last 10 years? Like chances are they were consciously building something that contributed to that success, whether that be they already had a business background, they've already done businesses, they've already been in this field, they were growing their community. And I'm not saying it can't happen, but I am saying that a lot of times our biggest successes come from something that we've worked at year after year and really put in the time and effort, and you'll see so much progress over time. So if this was helpful for you, like this video so I can create more content like this and you can see more content like this on your YouTube channel, and subscribe if you want more tips in business, freelancing, lead generation, all the things. I am committed to making trainings and videos for you guys. So please follow along, and thanks so much for watching this video.